Hey guys, in this week's episode of the Evolve Weekly, we're going to give you some tips how to get the longest ride time and the biggest range out of your Evolve board. When we're talking about range and how to get the biggest ride times on your Evolve board, we look at three parameters. One of them is the environment in which you ride, the second one is how the board is set up, and the third one is your riding style.
If you're looking to go fast and conserving energy, I would recommend starting in fast mode and then switch over to GT. Fast mode uses 50% less energy than GT mode during the acceleration phase. So it would be more beneficial to initially accelerate with the fast mode to a certain speed and then switch over to GT to continue the momentum.
So obviously if you're going on a hill, if you zigzag up the hill, it's like when you're on a bike, it's easy to obviously zigzag because you're changing the gradient you're actually riding on by going sideways a bit. So you're lessening, how steep of the hill you're going up by going zigzagging and going sideways up it.
When you're going up any hill, you do not have to just jam your trigger to go full blast up the hill. All you have to do is go about half to 3/4 throttle in faster GT and keep it consistent at about 11 and 12 miles an hour, and that will usually get you up about any hill.
So if it's more range that you're actually, wanting to get out of your boards and you're wondering, why is it you feel like other people are getting an extra 10 miles, 2 miles, whatever it is, what my advice would be is every time you start off, you don't need to just stand on your board and go. What I tend to do all the time is from a still position, I will push a few times. And then off I go. And I'm hardly even pushing the remote right now. And I'm still going, I'm preserving that energy, I'm getting more range out of my board.
I also think that holding a speed at around 20 kilometers per hour, you will get the biggest ride time on your board. It all comes down to how you manage your trigger. All right, so the aggressive riding will certainly chew up more battery than if you were accelerating a bit more softer and just holding it to the speed you wish to go. So I'll show you. I'll accelerate hard now. Apply the brake. Now if I want to ride more efficiently, I'm pulling the trigger slower and I'm holding it to the point where I'm happy with the speed I'm at.
It's all about, the resistance of the board wanting to travel straight. If you're carving hard, it's obviously adding to that resistance and, it's causing a bit more load on it.
So if you're carving a lot, and if you're aggressive with your carving style, it's going to consume a lot of battery life.
If you've got a board set up with AT tyres, it's really important that you have your tyre pressure around about 35 to 40 psi. That optimises your range. If you have the tyres any lower than that, the motors have to work a lot harder. Okay, if you think about it just like a car, if a car has flat tyres and you try and push it, it's really hard to push. So really good idea to get those tyre pressures spot on.
You will get bigger range if you have the street wheels on our boards compared to having the all-terrain wheels. So the bigger the wheels with the pneumatic tyres and the air in the wheels, they actually chew up the battery faster than the urethane wheels.
When I'm in the street wheels, I get at least 40%, maybe a little bit more, extra range over the AT tyres. Obviously when you're in the AT tyres, they're absorbing a hell of a lot more of your weight, and you're just losing that range. So that is, one of the reasons why I love riding the street wheels.
If you run your belts really tight, it will create more drag on the motors, which means the motors have to work harder to move the board.
So we normally just pinch the belt between the plastic drive gear and the motor cog when the wheels all fitted up, and you should get sort of, about that 5 to 10 mil deflection between it. The cleaner your bearings are, the less resistance you're going to have in rolling. Obviously a clean bearing is going to spin that bit freer, a bit faster. Might seem negligible, but things add up over time. So if you've got really dirty bearings and your wheels are pretty stiff, you're going to be using that, bit more power to get the board moving and actually keep it going.
We've definitely seen some cases in our service department where the drive gear bearing has completely seized up, and I mean it doesn't even move, but yet the board still works. So if you can imagine what pressure that would be putting on the motors and electrical system if something's completely seized.
To get the best performance out of your bearings, we do tend to use speed cream. That will obviously, lubricate your bearings a bit more.
We do have some customers that that absolutely back the more expensive bearings, like all the ceramics and stainless. The main thing is make sure that they're clean and they're rolling smoothly. The environment in which you ride has a big factor to play in regards to battery efficiency. So if you're riding on a really windy day and you're riding into the breeze, you could imagine your body will be working against the wind, and that will have a big drag on the skateboard and it requires a heap of extra work to push you. If you're riding your street board on a really rough road that's full of rocks, it's not only is it going to be uncomfortable under your foot, you're going to feel it, but it also takes more energy to get the board over compared to riding on a road that's just been beautifully paved and it is super smooth. It will glide over that surface much easier than a rougher surface. And it's also like riding your all-terrain board over thicker grass compared to the grass is short. It will fly over that grass compared to a thicker grass.
We get riders who travel through city pretty regularly, and you find they've got to stop and start or watch the traffic lights, and every time they have to accelerate again, they're using that extra juice. So that all comes down to your environment.
Thanks for watching, guys. I hope these tips have been useful in working out how to get the biggest ride times out of your Evolve boards, and we are certainly looking forward to seeing some of these range test results from the community.